as states move forward with reopening. President Trump weighed in, saying he strongly disagreed with Georgia Governor Brian Kemp's decision. Here's what you need to know. Well, currently there are over 841,000 infected Americans as the number of fatalities in this country tops 47,000.
As the pandemic plagues over 2.6 million people around the world, the United Nations is also warning against a hunger crisis, with officials saying widespread famine could double, putting more than 30 countries at risk. Several countries already have more than 1 million people on the brink of starvation. 8 lions and tigers at the Bronx Zoo have now tested positive for coronavirus. 3 lions and 5 tigers were infected by a staff member who was positive, but at the time showed no symptoms. And 2 house cats have become the first pets in the country to test positive. Both cats live in separate areas of New York State. They are expected to make a full recovery.
Well, a new sign of coronavirus could be hiding in your socks. Doctors are warning against COVID toes. It is an inflammation that looks like frostbite, most common in children and younger patients, and could be an early clue of infection. After canceling the Pride and Puerto Rican Day parades, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says the Macy's July 4th fireworks show will happen this year. He has been in talks with Macy's CEO and will find a way to honor America despite the pandemic.
Not even the pandemic can keep President Trump away from commencement duties. He is set to address the 2020 graduating class at West Point. The ceremony will be held on campus on June 13th. Academy officials say this year's graduation ceremony will be different due to current health guidelines and likely mirror the festivities held at the Air Force Academy this past weekend. Now, to a flurry of backlash, and after that, some Ivy League colleges are returning the stimulus money they received. Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and Princeton will forego the government money. They are the nation's wealthiest schools with the largest endowments.
Former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg is contributing $10 million to help launch an aggressive testing and tracing program for COVID-19. The billionaire made his fortune collecting and disseminating data. 35,000 state and city university medical students will be called on to help with the effort. And 2 of the world's greatest golfers will pair up with 2 of the NFL's greatest quarterbacks at a live made-for-TV golf event next month. Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning are facing off against Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady. Champions for Charity airs Memorial Day weekend on TNT.
The state of Georgia is barreling ahead with plans to reopen for business tomorrow, despite dire warnings from the nation's top health experts. It is the first of several southern states preparing to reboot their economies over the next week. NBC's Blaine Alexander joins us this morning. Blaine, good morning.
Well, Francis, good morning to you. Right now, a number of businesses across Georgia are preparing to reopen their doors tomorrow, and other states around the country are following suit. But there are many critics who say that the moves come too far, too soon. With less than 48 hours until one of the nation's most aggressive reopening measures goes into effect, Georgia is divided. The state hit a new milestone, topping 20,000 confirmed cases. More than 800 have died, which is why some businesses, like this hair salon, are choosing not to reopen despite the governor's move.
So we're trying to protect our staff, their families, but overall the community.
Bishop Reginald Jackson says he is keeping more than 500 AME churches closed.
I can imagine if these churches were opened on this Sunday, people who have not seen each other in weeks would be hugging and embracing and unknowingly passing on this virus.
But Governor Brian Kemp says the move is crucial for an economy that's reeling. So he's allowing barbershops and salons, movie theaters, dine-in restaurants, bowling alleys, and more to reopen in days.
This is a decision that was made based on the data and the science that we're seeing.
Georgia has seen a stunning 1 million unemployment claims filed since March.
We're planning on reopening.
Buddy Blackwell tells us his 60-year-old bowling alley would have added to that number in another month.
My business wouldn't survive. My employees wouldn't have a job.
Now he's sanitizing the building and hoping customers return despite being in a coronavirus hotspot, Albany, Georgia.
We can't hide in fear the rest of our life. The only thing that we can do is to protect everybody the best way we can.
Georgia has not seen a 2-week decline in COVID-19 cases, which White House guidelines recommend before any state moves to reopen. The governor says all businesses will have to follow safety measures, masks and gloves, staggered shifts, and 6 feet social distance, all but impossible when giving a massage or a haircut.
If there's a way that people can social distance and do those things, then they can do those things. I don't know how, but people are very creative.
Gym owner Mark Martino says he is finding a way to reopen safely.
Will people be able to social distance?
I believe they will be able to. Our machines are spaced out. Our staff member will explain that to every member when they come in.
Around the country, Oklahoma will start reopening Friday, and the Las Vegas mayor is urging casinos to reopen.
So you don't believe there should be any social distancing? You don't believe that this is
Of course I believe there should be. Of course.
How do you do that in a casino?
That's up to them to figure out. I don't own a casino.
And in Texas, a return to elective surgery, a tremendous relief for Michael McBride, who's waited more than 2 years for a kidney transplant.
Michael, how crucial is this surgery for you?
Time without it.
His wife, Chris, will be his donor. They had been approved 2 weeks before Houston shut down. Their surgery now likely to happen this summer.
It's joyful to know that we are on the way and that this is going to happen.
But a new reminder of the risk from the virus. Tyson Foods shutting down a plant in Waterloo, Iowa, because too many employees were staying home. And back here in Georgia, the mayor of Albany, Georgia, says that he asked for special dispensation to be able to toughen those restrictions in his area due to the higher number of deaths there. However, that request was denied because the governor prefers a uniform approach across the state. Francis?
All right, Blaine, thank you.
Well, this morning we'll get new data on the U.S. economy. How many people filed for unemployment last week? Economists estimate that number will be around 4.5 million. In the last month, all the job gains since the Great Recession have disappeared. Over the last few weeks, initial jobless claims have declined, but the numbers are still jaw-dropping. Now, many economists worry there could be another wave of layoffs and applications for unemployment benefits. Many of the 20 million small businesses in the U.S. did not benefit from the first round of the government's Paycheck Protection Program, and every day it gets tougher for them to stay afloat. If they did get financing, that money will cover the bills for a few weeks. It is unclear what will happen when that money runs out or what the economy will look like then.
The House is expected to send another $500 billion worth of stimulus to the president's desk today. For the latest, let's get to our Capitol Hill correspondent Tracy Potts. And Tracy, for millions of Americans out of work, that relief can't come soon enough.
It really is going to be a lot of relief for people who've been out of work and for the small businesses who employ them, because a big chunk of that $484 billion that lawmakers are expected to approve today is disaster relief and loans, replenishing that loan fund for small businesses, plus help for hospitals and more money for testing. What's not in this relief package, any money for food stamps or states. That's something that Democrats had pushed for. They didn't get it. And now Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is taking some heat for suggesting that big states in financial trouble should file for bankruptcy or consider it instead of asking the federal government for help. Here's reaction to that from lawmakers Peter King, saying that's a dismissive remark, referring to McConnell as the Marie Antoinette of the Senate. Also, President Trump responding to allegations that an HHS employee was fired for not supporting the push to get the drug hydroxychloroquine out there. Here's what President Trump said about the transfer of Rick Bright.
I never heard of him. You just mentioned the name. I never heard of him. When did this happen?
This happened today.
Well, I never heard of him. If the guy says he was pushed out of a job, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. You'd have to hear the other side. I don't know who he is.
So President Trump saying he has no idea why Dr. Rick Bright was reassigned from Health and Human Services to NIH after refusing to back that drug that the president has talked so much about. Francis.
All right, Tracy, thank you.
Let's go